The Saints win a shootout over the previously unbeaten Rams thanks to a record-setting day by Mike Thomas, and the defense helped clinch the game in crunch time. Plus, a raucous atmosphere was not enough for LSU as Alabama shuts out the Tigers. Nicholls and Southeastern get big wins in the Southland, and Tulane stuns South Florida with a blowout win on the road. Make it 7 wins in a row for the NFL's hottest team. I'm Doug Mouton. Welcome to 4th Down on 4. Right now, it appears the Saints and the Rams will be fighting it out for the top spot in the NFC playoffs. The Saints have only been the number 1 seed once. That was back in 2009 when they won it all. The question, will they be the top seeds this year? That is our poll question tonight, yes or no. Vote now on our mobile app or our website, wwltv.com/vote. The results coming later in the show. Andrew Doak kicks things off now with the story from the Superdome.
In a battle of 2 of the NFL's best and 2 of the league's top offenses, the micro aspects became pivotal. The Saints outrushed the league's number 1 rushing team and rushing leader Todd Gurley.
That was the difference. I mean, we knew it was going to be a physical game, and we felt winning the rushing battle was going to be a part of winning the game, and I think it was.
New Orleans overpowered the Rams on the ground for 141 yards, 40 yards more than the Rams were allowing on a per-game basis. And the Saints' top rushing defense put the clamps on Gurley. Number 30 was averaging 144 all-purpose yards per game, but he finished with just 79 in New Orleans.
If you didn't watch the game and you just looked at the stat sheet, if whoever won the rushing battle was going to win the game, and that held true.
Early, it was a battle of the running backs. Kamara scored the first 2 touchdowns of the game for New Orleans. Sandwiched in between was Gurley's only touchdown of the afternoon. By the turn of the second quarter, it was tied at 14. Based on how these teams were scoring, a field goal felt like a defensive win, and a turnover, even so early, felt like it could be fatal. And with 12:08 left in the second, Ingram put the ball on the turf, deep in the Saints' own territory, giving the Rams an opportunity to take the lead and quiet a raucous home crowd. The Saints' defense held tough, forcing a field goal try, or at least so they thought. Mere inches away from a first down, Craig Robertson pushed the Rams holder Johnny Hecker OB, forcing a turnover on downs. And just like that, it was like Ingram's spill never happened. 10 plays later, Breeze hit Traquan Smith to bring momentum back to the New Orleans sideline, along with the 21-14 lead. Just before intermission, an Alex Anzalone interception led to more points, and New Orleans had firm control 35-17 at the break. But eventually, the talent leveled out. The Rams came out guns blazing in the second half. Jared Goff led Los Angeles to 21 unanswered points, and Cooper Kupp tied it on an underneath route that went 41 yards to pay dirt with 9:48 left in the game. 9 plays later, Will Lutz added 3 more to create an ounce of separation. But on their following offensive drive, that's where the Saints made their statement. With the Saints leading 38-35 and 3rd and 7 upcoming, the Rams rolled double coverage to Alvin Kamara. On the upcoming play, Kamara was actually the primary target, but instead he played decoy. What it did was it freed up Michael Thomas in one-on-one coverage with Rams corner Marcus Peters, the exact matchup the Saints wanted.
Well, that was the plan. They were going to travel Marcus to him, and that was fine by us. We thought we really liked that matchup a lot.
The minute the ball was snapped, felt like, okay, Kamara's doubled, Mike's singled, Mike's by him, here we go.
Of course, Thomas had to do it in style. Immediately after the touchdown, he paid tribute to Joe Horn, answering a flip phone underneath the goalpost padding.
The only thing is, he didn't tell me during the week. He's telling you guys that now on Sunday, but I like the matchup the whole week. So.
This call wasn't one that was incoming. This was a call to the rest of the NFL. It marked the Saints' 4th straight win over a division leader, and this Sunday, a win over the NFL's last unbeaten team and NFC number 1 seed. The NFL didn't let this one go to voicemail. They picked up because it was a ring heard loud and clear. From the Superdome, Andrew Doak, 4th Down on 4.
All right, good stuff, Andrew. Check out the list of the Saints' best single games receiving. Mike Thomas is now #1 with 211 yards. It breaks a 39-year-old record. Back in 1979, Wes Chandler went for 205 in an overtime loss to the Falcons. Archie Manning was the quarterback. Chuck Muncie threw a TD pass to Chandler in that game. Torrance Small went for 200 on Christmas Eve in Denver in '94. I was at that game. The Rams defensive coordinator today, Wade Phillips, was the Broncos head coach in that game. Brandon Cooks and the original cell phone user Joe Horn are 4 and 5. The offense was the story for the Saints today, but the defense did just enough, as Ricardo LeCompte reports.
The Rams and Saints both geared up for a track meet. 28 points on the board already after a little over 1 quarter in the books. But New Orleans gained some ground with an assist from the defense. A hold and a missed field goal led to the Saints' 2-touchdown lead. Alex Anzalone picked off Jared Goff on the next series, and the Saints sprinted to a 21-point advantage. But the third highest scoring offense in the NFL was eventually going to close the gap in this scoring race.
We knew exactly what was going to happen. You'd be kidding yourself if you didn't think they was going to come out and try to torch us. And they're a great team, and they showed. They're resilient. They showed. They came back.
21 unanswered to tie the game in the fourth quarter.
As soon as it went 35-35, we looked at each other. We told them, no matter what our offense does the rest of the game, if we don't get a stop, it doesn't matter. So we knew we had to get a stop. We knew we had to come up big for this team, and we were able to do it.
The stops came. P.J. Williams made this tackle on 3rd down for the game's first 3 and out. And on the next defensive series late in the 4th, Williams broke up a Goff 4th down throw intended for Brandon Cooks.
It's good to see him playing well. We were in almost 100% of the game in nickel. They were in their 3-wide package. We made the plays when it counted. It was a big stop right there at the end, so that was encouraging.
Ed Williams, the reigning NFC Defensive Player of the Week, still had his struggles against the Rams. And the 28th ranked pass defense in the league still gave up 391 yards to Jared Goff. But still, the Saints were able to pull out a win, and that defense still carried that mantra of bending but not breaking.
Here's Gurley, who has been bottled up for the most part.
And the NFL's top-ranked rush D held the NFL's leading rusher, Todd Gurley, to just 68 yards. The defense made plays when it needed to. The stat sheet won't say it was a defensive masterpiece, but it will show that the Rams didn't score enough points to beat the black and gold. At the Superdome, Ricardo LeCompte, 4th Down on 4.
And that's the bottom line. Thanks, Ricardo. So here's the NFC playoff picture right now. The Rams are still the top seeds, but the Saints will have the tiebreaker edge. The Rams' bye comes in Week 12. 2 surprises, the Bears and the Redskins are 3rd and 4th, and the wild cards for now would be Carolina and Minnesota. Now, the Panthers are just 1 game behind the Saints in the NFC South. All right, we go back to the Superdome where Ricardo got some post-game analysis.
All right, joining me for some analysis now is Mike Neighbors from Cox Sports Television. And we'll start, of course, with the big headliner, Mike Thomas, who had a career day today against the Rams here. He had a pretty interesting week coming into this game, but for the most part, he was the most effective weapon that Drew Brees has, which he has been pretty much all year.
Oh, he has. He's delivered all season long, and he's had a lot of games with a lot of big numbers, but you look early on in the season, they didn't get the victory, or he had a costly turnover, kind of overshadowed it a little bit, but you got to love the celebration at the end with Joe Horn. I love what Ben Watson said after the game. I didn't think Michael Thomas knew who Joe Horn was, so they kind of had fun with that afterwards. But yeah, that was a big play because you felt like a lot more pressure was on the offense in this game. You can't settle for field goals against the LA Rams. You got to get touchdowns, and in the end, they got a big one to clinch it.
Yeah, I want to talk about that kind of the aggressive play calling on both sides. You saw that the Rams wanted to go for that fake field goal, which in turn was stopped, and then the Saints were able to come down and score there. It seemed like this game was headed to a shootout, and you could kind of tell that there was more aggressive play calling on both sides. Was that kind of the feeling where field goals aren't pretty much going to win this? It's going to be a matter of touchdowns.
Well, you saw how much faith that Sean Payton has in Will Lutz that he had attempted a field goal at that juncture in the game. He misses that. It sets up the Rams for a great potential game-tying or game-winning drive. And the fact that they went for 2, you almost felt like this game was going to go to overtime. Maybe the Saints score, maybe the Rams score again, you go to overtime. But as they have all season, Dennis Allen has made adjustments either after a loss or a tough drive. And I thought they made some good adjustments in the second half. Todd Gurley, I mean, he's a guy who's tore up the NFL, the reigning NFL MVP. They really contain him. So the defense bends but doesn't break in the end.
Yeah, Todd Gurley had so much attention coming into this contest. I mean, pretty much most people were considering him the midseason MVP coming into this game against the Saints. But Alvin Kamara showed that, hey, you know what, maybe this MVP race is not as simple as you think of just giving it to Gurley, or maybe perhaps Drew Brees. Kamara, his first half was astounding, and it almost just kind of opened other things up because of how he was playing.
And you remember last year was kind of the Alvin Kamara coming out party out in L.A. He had that great game, then he has 3 touchdowns in this game, and I think what makes it more impressive is Kamara doesn't get the rhythm that Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley can get more of a rhythm. Kamara has to share carries with Mark Ingram, and the offense, and you know, it's hard to get in a rhythm sometimes, but he did that. He did that in this game, and for the second year in a row, came up big against the Rams.
4 division leaders that the Saints have played in Washington, in Baltimore, in the Minnesota Vikings, and now in the LA Rams, and they've all been wins for the Saints. Do you feel like this is the best team in the NFL?
The New Orleans Saints?
Yes.
I do right now. I really do. I think the AFC is watered down. I think this is why this game was hyped up so much. I think a lot of people feel like these are the 2 best teams, and it was a game that really lived up to the hype. We knew we'd get a lot of offense. You knew one defense had to step up, and for New Orleans, well, it was the Saints, and they're playing at home today. I think today's win, if everybody stays healthy, they may play at home again against this team down the road in the playoffs.
Yeah, the Saints could have a lot of home playoff games, and perhaps that may be the path to the Super Bowl. Mike, great stuff as always. We'll send it back to you, Doug.
Coming up, we'll head to Baton Rouge, where despite an electric game day atmosphere, LSU got dominated in the trenches by Alabama. Plus, Nicholls blows out Houston Baptist and is in good shape for the FCS playoffs, while Southeastern gets a huge win over McNeese. And later, Tulane goes on the road to stun South Florida with a huge day on the ground.
4th Down on 4 is sponsored by the Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Gulf Coast. Forget Vegas. You've got home field advantage.
The game did not live up to the hype. It was an old-school beatdown. LSU does have a chance, a good chance, at a 10-win regular season and a trip to the Sugar Bowl. But it's hard to concentrate on that now, fresh off the bad loss to Alabama. The pregame setting was unbelievable. Even by his standards, Ed Ogeron was pumped up on Victory Hill. Inside, the atmosphere was pure electricity. Everything that makes big-time college football great.
The crowd really showed up for us. That was the best atmosphere I've ever been a part of.
The LSU fan base did everything it could to make the day special, but then the game kicked off.
Everything was set, but hey, we got beat in a lot of scrimmage, man. We got to get better. I got to recruit better defensive linemen. I got to get defensive linemen like that. I got to recruit better offensive linemen. Same old thing. You got to beat Alabama in a line of scrimmage.
The most obvious mismatch, and really where the game was decided, LSU's offensive line simply could not handle Alabama's defensive front.
I think Alabama overpowered us. I mean, when you max protect, you're doing everything you can in protection, and they're beating you. You got to look at personnel.
Just be as one-on-one. You got to be better than that, and I promise we will.
I don't think it was scheme at all. I just think that they overpowered us, and there was nothing we can do about it.
And take your pick how you want to view it. Choice A, Steve Ensminger ran an unimaginative, unaggressive offense that failed again against Alabama. Or choice B, the Crimson Tide exposed a weak LSU offensive line. Ensminger had successfully hidden that flaw in the Tigers' 7-1 start, but just couldn't against a team as good as Alabama. Either way, the talent gap in the trenches was obvious.
It was frustrating. We're not far from them. But at the end of the day, you can't say things like that when they beat you 8 years in a row. So we're not far away player-wise. It's just, you got to get them next year.
And that perfectly captures LSU's level of exasperation. Heisman Trophy frontrunner Tua Tagovailoa was good against the Tigers, but he did not put up his usual superhuman numbers. When he got time, he made some really good throws, like this one to Brother Martin's Irv Smith. And when LSU pressured, he found the one gap in the pressure here and went 44 yards for the touchdown that put the game away.
A guy like him, you give him more than 3 seconds with all the different crossing routes and different things he's going to throw at you. He's going to eat you up. So put that on us. We got to get more pressure on him.
Of course, LSU didn't. The defense wasn't bad overall, but they just weren't good enough to make up for a complete lack of offense. Saturday night in Tiger Stadium, LSU and its fans came back down to earth.
It's very hard, to have all this hype, have all the fans come out, and, we're not giving them what they wanted.
But the fact is, LSU has already overachieved. A Tiger team that was only supposed to win 7 or 8 games total already has 7 wins with 3 more winnable games to go. A 10-win regular season is definitely possible.
We were 7-1 coming into this game. 7-2 now, still got a chance to go to a hell of a bowl game.
This team has a chance to have a very good season, go to a big bowl. That's what we're going to look forward to.
And that big bowl could be the Sugar Bowl. Multiple Sugar Bowl reps were in the press box Saturday night. 10 wins in a Sugar Bowl would exceed all reasonable preseason expectations for LSU. It's just hard to feel too good about the season immediately following a loss like this. Now, the Tigers fell to number 9 in the new Associated Press poll. Here are the final 3 games. LSU at Arkansas Saturday night at 6:30. That's on the SEC network. The Razorbacks have lost 5 straight SEC games. Then the home finale against the 1-9 Rice Owls. And finally at A&M. The Aggies have lost 2 straight. Again, 3 winnable games that could get LSU to 10-2 and a major bowl. On to the Southland Conference, where the Nicholls Colonels have 2 regular season games to go. 2 wins should get them back into the NCAA tournament. They've now won 5 of their last 6 after a dominant win on the road Saturday.
Nicholls this season.
The Colonels took it right to the Houston Baptist Huskies. Newman's Kendall Bussey scores from 4 yards out. Nicholls led 10-0 after 1. On the first play of the second quarter, the Colonels defense forces the incompletion on 4th down. They pitched a shutout in the first half while their offense just kept scoring. On the possession after the stop, Chase Forcade to Dontrell Taylor. It's 17-0 Nicholls. Then Forcade caps an 80-yard drive with a TD pass to Edna Carr's Dijon Dixon. It was 27-0 at halftime. Nicholls cruises in the second half to win 41-20. They'll play Stephen F. Austin at home Saturday afternoon, then Southeastern in the Riverbell Classic the following Thursday. 2 wins should earn the Colonels a 2nd straight trip to the NCAA tournament. Southeastern is off next weekend as they get ready for that Nicholls game, and they'll be coming off their best win of the season. The Lions dominated 12th-ranked McNeese State. They held the Cowboys under 200 total yards and won 23-6. In year 1 under Frank Selfo, the Lions are 4-6. They will not be heading to the postseason, but they have a chance to play spoiler against Nicholls on the 15th. Still ahead, we'll head to Tampa, where Tulane's big victory over South Florida has the Wave 2 wins from a bowl berth. And it's a former LSU quarterback who's helping them get there. That story when we come back. 2 weeks ago, the prospects of a bowl game looked extremely dim for Tulane, but tonight, the Green Wave have a great shot. They still need 2 more wins, but after beating Tulsa on the road last week and stunning South Florida this week, the task is now very doable.
Big throw down play.
About halfway through the first quarter in Tampa, the Tulane team we thought we'd see at the beginning of the season showed up. LSU transfer Justin McMillan continues to be a difference maker. This 33-yard touchdown kick-started the Green Wave.
Oh, he did great. He really did a good job, I thought, of controlling the clock. He pulled the ball a couple times for some big first downs. Shoot, if I had to critique him, the only glaring mistake was the fumble late in the ball game. But besides that, I thought he did an exceptional job.
The fumble late in the ball game didn't matter because of the way Tulane played in the second quarter. In the second, Corey Dauphine ran for 2 touchdowns, and Merrick Glover hit 2 field goals. The Green Wave went out to a 27-3 lead. Then in the third, they got this explosion from Darius Bradwell. Both Both Bradwell and Dauphine went over 100 yards rushing. Altogether, the Green Wave ran it for 365 yards.
Offensive line did a super job getting some holes. We ran the ball very effectively and controlled the clock.
It was exactly the way Willie Fritz wanted it to go, and the Bulls were 7-1. They were unbeaten at home. Since Fritz changed from Jonathan Banks to Justin McMillan at quarterback, the Green Wave are now 2-0 and just 2 wins away from bowl eligibility. And here are the final 3 for Tulane. The Green Wave, again, need 2 wins, and certainly Houston on the road on a Thursday night looks really difficult. But East Carolina and Navy are very winnable games, and they're both at Yeoman Stadium. 6-6 would get the Green Wave to a bowl game for the first time under Willie Fritz and the first time in 5 years. We're back with more 4th Down on 4 in a minute. Confidence in New Orleans is growing. Saints fans now overwhelmingly believe the black and gold will be the top seeds in the NFC playoffs. Our poll says 87% say yes. The Saints will have home field advantage. That would be a fun thing. For producer Danny Rockwell, photographer Adam Ney, Ricardo, Andrew, and all of us here at Eyewitness Sports, I'm Doug Mouton. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week on 4th Down on 4.